So let's start off with looking up. And you just provide, can you put in the chat
Yeah.
the address of the property?
Yep. Oops. What happened? There.
So I'll pull up the MLS and even it's funny too. So David, that contractor you met, that was that Marine dude next to that house in Molly Terrace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is also a lead that I'm gonna him not necessarily, but the neighbor that I was talking to, Rob,
Yeah.
he would be a candidate for um, a potential sale down the line. So what I'd want is maybe you can follow up with him to actually go see the property too, and then that
Are
would
you
be
talking about the guy that had the like across the way, like they had the trailer in his yard?
yeah, the one where Sean said that was his foreman.
Yeah. 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 That'd be great. I have all Sean's information.
That's good. So I and maybe we'll talk about that too, so that I got his phone number and email address, and so that would be
Perfect.
that visit Sean and visit Rob at the same time, and we'll see
Yeah.
the property, and then because he's looking for suggestions on how when he's ready to sell, and so I just give more practice.
Perfect.
So for Matrix, I'm going to go into Realist and uh, let me just check to see if there was anybody else that was going to join us. All right. So then now I've got the address. Copy it. And so here, I'll just put in the address, do a search.
Yep.
And what I'm looking for is uh, just some of the basic information. So it looks like it was sold in 2002. And then what I'm hoping for to find is that this is the MLS listing number from back then.
Mhm.
I click on that. Then it comes up with a history of this listing here in Realist. So what I'm doing here with this information, then I can go from a single line to multi-line with comments. But ideally, I'm looking at, this is the 2002, so it's been canceled a few times. So it couldn't sell in 2001. And then it finally sold in 2002. So I'll just look, there's only the front picture of it.
Mhm.
Um, but it gives me all the information. Waterfront home with great room design, home in great condition with new carpets, interior paint, new kitchen, baths. Open French doors open to deck and lakeside living. Dock include on this lot with 50 foot of lakefront living. So a house like this is unique because it's waterfront and it's lake living. So there's different ways to try to pull up properties and comparables for this because we're looking at it's going to be a range that we're looking for. We're looking for, let's just say it wasn't lakefront home. Well, how about homes in better condition, same or worse condition? And that's one category of homes that are not lakefront. And and then there's the ones specifically to try to get as best of a comparable, and then trying to find homes that are lakefront. And what are that low, medium, and high price range for it too then. So then I'm looking, okay, what is um, an ugly looking lakefront home priced at, sold for as a comparable, and then that's a nice one. Then we're getting more data between non-lakefront and then lakefront, because the lakefront itself, you're not going to find very many comparables based off of that, because not there's plenty more homes that are not non-lakefront than there is lakefront. So and then from here I'm going to check it, and then I'm going to do a print. I'm not printing it out, but I just want it on a separate page for me to continue looking at. And if I just do the 360 view and I'll just do print to PDF. And what it does is that it opens up a new tab for me so that I still have all the same information
Mhm.
from the MLS. And then when I click on the matrix aspect of it, I can start doing searches by using this as the comparable. I'm going to copy the address, and when I do a search, I just generally just use general here. Click on active, all the pending, and then I'll do the sold. And I'll leave it as a default at the 6 months. Single family home, residential. And then I'll paste the address. Click on the address. And by default, I'm just going to go like 3-mile radius of it. We'll do the state of Washington. And then the price, I'm going to leave that blank for right now. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,200 square feet. I'll go specific first before I go into broad. So I'll do the 2 beds and then 1+ bath. Square structure will go from 700 to the range of 1,500. And then we have a year built of 1985. I'm not even going to do that because right now I can already see that we have 3 matches within like a 3-mile radius. So it's not enough comps. So let's just take a look at what we've got. And so we come up with these look like manufactured homes. So that's not necessarily comparable either. So, but this gives me an indication of how to modify the criteria. So then on the additional fields here, I added all these additional fields, and one of the additional fields is style codes. So the style codes I'm looking for is going to be a 1-story on these top levels up to number 18, which is because I don't want manufactured homes, floating homes, condos. Yeah, none of these things I want other than just a single family home. then it only comes down to a one match. That means that I gotta broaden out even further than from this. And the broadening of this, we'll take it into a map view. So there's nothing in Lake Bosworth area, so let's go further. So now there's 13. It goes up to Granite Falls and then kind of something like Stevens. So let's take a look. So you have Granite Falls. These would already be eliminated because these are one bathrooms here.
Mhm.
If we didn't broaden the search, right? So if we went to exactly a 1.75 bath plus, then these two would be eliminated. This one would make it. This is like Stevens one. River Road. Okay, so this one's got kind of got water too though, because it's river. This is 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So in general, most of some of these fit. So we went kind of down the line with some of them. Let's kind of look from a single line view. Homes for a 2-bedroom, and most of them are just 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So this one here is 1,300 square feet. This is probably one of the closer ones to square foot wise. This one, and it's got, you know, at least the 2 bathrooms here. And it's also priced the highest at $599. This one doesn't look like location wise by the water, but it looks almost completely updated. Every part of the home is. So something like this is what we're looking at as kind of, you know, it's not waterfront, but, and it's a lot bigger in lot size. But let's just say the 2-bedroom, 2-bath and square footage is about the same. Age of the home, 1922, it's even older. So there's, you know, the reason why we even consider this one is because this would be kind of like a ceiling of a price point, right? Because the positive here is that it's got bigger lot, but it's an older home, but it's bigger square footage, and it's completely, you know, renovated then. So then it's like, okay, $599, the 600 would be kind of that ceiling. Plus it's a competitor. It actually hasn't even sold yet. So now we have the top end. Now we can go, like, we can look, okay, where's the bottom? And then where's the middle? Where's that range then? And what I'll do is like something like this. We'll go, I'll check it and we'll add this because we're saying that it's on the high. on the highest range, the ceiling. So I'll click on cart. I'm gonna go on a new cart here. And the cart name, I'm just gonna go with comps. And because I don't have, I'm gonna create a new contact, and this is be, a client name. And so the reason why I put it in a separate cart is because as I continue to go into more searches, I'm trying to find more comparables. And I'll keep adding more comparables that I feel like is a good comparison. Then I'll just keep adding them to the cart. And ideally, the amount of comps we would try to look for, since the house is unique with waterfront, if you can get 5 good comps, then that's great. If it wasn't waterfront, then ideally, you can probably get 10. 10 would be a good number. 8 to 10 would be a good comp size. My bad. Any questions so far?
I don't think so. No.
Abby, do you have any questions? Or Gianni?
No,
None so
just
far.
watching, observing.
Okay.
I think you said the year built was 80. Did you say 85?
This is, yeah, it's 85 here.
Yeah, I think it was built in 49.
Okay. It says here, originally built in 1949, fully remodeled in 1985.
Oh, gotcha.
So they're using the effective year. I think when they did the Ford model, that's why they're using that date.
Okay.
So here it looks, it's a 1.5 story. And 6,500 square foot lot. So then we want to continue to find more comparables. I don't necessarily like the idea of having it to compare to 1 bath. So we're going to increase it to the 1.75 plus. We'll keep the parameter still in the structure square footage, just because we don't want too big. And then what we'll do is that we'll broaden out our radius search. We won't do year built. And when we do the map, we want to get more, like, I would even see if we can get into Lake Goodwin here too. So there was only 2 to now to 36. But a lot of it, if we're looking at a map here, it's picking up some from just a bunch of different areas here. Some came up here. So what I'll do is that I'm going to take out this radius search, because I don't want some of these other properties too far south. I'm going to use the polygon tool here. So I'm going to incorporate some more of the rural properties. And then I'm gonna delete the radius. So now we have 15 in results. So now we've got, 15 comps, we have like 4 active, 1 pending, and then 5 solds. And they all are pretty much similar. They're all 2 bedrooms. They're all 2 baths. They're all square footage in, they're all over 1,000. So they're within our range, and we'll just take a look. Let's see again. So price points vary from like 600 to a low of 470, and then one at 420. This property is by a main road. It's got updates in the house, but it still doesn't really look in great condition. And this one's priced at 472. This one could also be one as a floor. Because let's just say that our subject property is in better condition than this home, plus it's lakefront. That already will make the subject property better than this one, because then it just has more potential. Does that make sense, David?
Yeah, it does.
This is just looks like a move-in ready home. Basic 2-bedroom. This goes in the same range as that last one. It's kind of just as a floor as well too. So it can be okay. Okay, so this one is a lake view. It's not waterfront. So this one is also then kind of like a comparable as well, because then it's not waterfront, but it has lake views, and it's similar in condition, size. Question is if this converted garage is incorporated in the livable square footage. But this one would be compared as a ceiling one then, because of its price point. Obviously, this would be look like as a competitor then. So square footage, like lot size is a little bit bigger. It's bigger in square footage, so they might have incorporated that the
Garage.
garage as livable square footage. This is a smaller square footage, smaller size. And it was priced at 420. Again, this one only comes up because it's one of those floors, again, like the 470 and the 500.
Hmm.
Those would still be kind of like the floor compared to this one. This one's too low at the 420. But again, it's still a floor, because it's smaller. It's like it's just a less house overall, regardless. And it's not lakefront, so that just adds to the evidence of another floor. Like if you get to that 400 range, for sure it will sell. Like that is, you won't ever need to go below that. But we're trying to find, now we're finding a range. Now we're finding a range between 600,000 and 500,000 at this point. So this one sold, still smaller in lot square footage, smaller in lot in size. 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Listed at 590. And then ended up finding a buyer at 570. And then sold at 550.
I know where that house.
You seen this one?
Yeah, it's in Snohomish. This was wait, was this wasn't that Rick's listing or
Jeff's, I mean,
Jeff's listing?
I didn't look at the listing agent yet. But it's a move-in ready house. It's
Mhm,
yeah, it's Jeff's house.
mhm.
Something like this is kind of still a good comparable because this is completely move-in ready. And size wise, there's another Snohomish.
2 acres.
This size is throwing it off.
Yeah.
But this is where you kind of have to incorporate, okay, well, if you take away the square footage, because that's the added value to it, then does this, you take away the lot, but now you add waterfront, do those cancel itself out? So can it be priced at 600,000? Right, so there's, we'll take a look, but this one listed at 900,000. They didn't find a buyer until they dropped it to 665, and then they sold it at 600,000. Does your mom's have it doesn't have a garage, right?
It has an outbuilding out front with power, like a big shed, but no garage, just driveway parking and in front of the shed parking.
Okay. Well, then this would be added as kind of a ceiling as well then, because this one has a garage too, right? It has a garage and a lot of land. And let's say that the land is equivalent, the amount of land is equivalent to waterfront, but obviously someone's going to be looking specifically for waterfront, and it's still is stated inside. And this one also has an outbuilding, so it has a garage and another, that's a shop too. Carport. So this one, smaller lot size, smaller square footage. Something about this though is
Avenue A, is it in the historical district?
it looks like it. I mean, Avenue D is pretty close to
Yeah,
renovated interior. It just has some uniqueness to it, and then you have the location
yeah.
that plays a part in it. Attic space converted for down by the river. So listed at 500, 469, and then so it's bigger square footage on lot. Size of the home is 1904. So is it by the water then? How's the property compared to this one, your mom's condition wise?
Condition wise, it looks pretty much the same. There hasn't been any major updates since she purchased it, other than the deck is now a sunroom, so it's an enclosed living space. So it does have a little bit more square footage because there's a living space off the patio now.
So here's the house and the river's over here, so it's not necessarily river. It's just by the river,
Mhm.
but again, well, this is a floor property that. This one is not gonna even be incorporated because it's 2+ acres. It's bigger in square footage and it's got, this giant shop.
Mhm.
1 acre, bigger. So here's a riverfront then. All right, so this one looks, by reading it, it looks updated and waterfront. And we can definitely tell just even by the description of what you said, this one's completely updated.
Mhm.
So it's in better condition. It's waterfront. Bigger home. This is definitely a ceiling. Because now you have to incorporate the cost of what it would take to get it in this condition of a home. And it's 1 acre with, more modernized shop to it. So my thought is here, even though it sells at 735, to do upgrades to a house to get it to this condition and to have that large of a shop to it, let's just say it's 130,000. So then I would say, in that it's still coming back between that 600,000 price point. So it's a Seventh Lake community. Sold for 460. looks like, you know, a regular dated house. I mean, you know, what is that? Just a giant shed. That's not the house, is it? Maybe it is a house.
Look like the backside of the house.
Yeah. Looks,
It's like they enclosed the bottom part of the deck or something. I don't know.
yeah. Again, this is just like, it's just another floor. Okay, we're not gonna consider senior living community. So this one's lakefront. So it's bigger square footage, bigger house. And 3 more, it's like one additional bathroom more. There's a separate studio ADU that has 0.75 bath and kitchenette currently rented for $925. A month-to-month lease, 5-car, 1,000 square foot garage. This is the kitchenette in the little area for the ADU. And it has a garage shop. Cool. I think we got some good comps then.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Mhm. We're not gonna do this like good one because we're not gonna get into the 1.6 mil. But that's yeah. This is out of it, out of the range. And so I've checked 8, and then with the checked 8, I'm gonna add 2, and you'll see that the comps list here is up to 8, you know, and then what I'll do is because if it's a client that I'm gonna have to go back to in the end, then this type of criteria seemed like it worked okay. The thing I would revise if I was gonna constantly have this as an automatic feed. So whenever any homes that were active goes to pending or sold, the client can be notified of it. So then what I'd want to do is change it because I know the range of the homes would be, you know, it'd be more like 800 and below. And so then it reduces down the search by 1 because that 1,000,001 is now out of
Mhm.
it.
Right.
So if I do the search here, I think that was really the one that was really out of the running for properties. Now I could also change it to like we know that we know a floor of it is nothing. Ideally, actually would be 500 to 800,000. Because we could actually kind of say that the floor would be 500. So then from any properties that, so I'm gonna go save, and then I can do either a new auto email or save search. I tend to go on the save search for now, and I would say like comps. name of the client, and then address of the property. And then I can attach it to a client, but it's not required. So if I go save, it'll just save to my saved list.
Got it.
But if I do auto email, then this is the part where, you know, the contact, say David Orr. I go David. So then by default, okay, hi David, I've set up a new search for you on one home, you know. You can just change that to whatever language. So that
Mm,
the criteria is that you will get anything that becomes active, new on the market, or if any of those properties go from active to pending or pending to sold, you're gonna get an email on that. And right now it's set to daily, so every day, 7 days a week in the morning,
mhm.
you're gonna get an email if there's any updates. Or go to ASAP. So here I'd be able to uncheck it, but it knows that I'm sending it to myself, so.
Right.
um, And so, you know, click save if I want this to always go out, but it's not gonna go out to anywhere. It's not the right, not the right email address. So then, now let's just take a look at the cart again. So we got 9 as far as comps here. So this actually is enough to really kind of gauge where you want to be on the market. If we look at a single line view, you know, we have a range between some of the actives here of from 500 to 700,000 on the active side.
Mhm.
And on the solds, we have anywhere between 470. So basically, let's just say those are the floors. So like the 500s all the way up to the 750. But we know that the 750 is way too high and the 735 is way too high. So let's just look at by comparison. So it's bigger. And the ADU. So that ADU is what takes it over.
Right.
So I would say that, you know, within a range, like, you know, in order to price the home to see what it sells, the fact that the home is lakefront, it gives it a unique quality that it's going to bring out buyers that may pay premium for lakefront
Hmm.
versus if it was, you know, than anything else, right? Because you have waterfront, which then adds more value, because if someone is saying, hey, I don't really care about land, I only want to be by water, then I'm willing to pay more for it. So you can, so ideally would actually try to go higher, you know, go higher on the price point
And
list.
then how do you excuse me, how do you factor in like the additional that was added onto the backside of the house as far as square footage?
Well, taking consideration from a viewpoint of like how much it would cost to add that.
Yeah. Okay.
So then let's say it's going to be $100,000 to add an ADU. and then take the subject property here and say, okay,
Mhm.
is there even enough space to add an ADU? And
Right.
even if you did add an ADU and you had enough space, 100,000, then then you're taking up that to that price point. So here, I would say it's going to, market value would be anywhere between the 600 to 700,000 at this point. Then,
Hmm.
and necessarily wouldn't necessarily be the 700 because now we're finding these ceilings here at the 750 here,
Hmm.
and the other one that was Riverfront, I think,
Yeah.
735.
Right.
So it really takes you, let's just say it's 100,000 below this. So then you're really at 650 and then 635. So then now you're in a range between 550, I would say between 550 and 600 and between 550 and like 650,
Hmm.
right? So if you're in that range, then maybe you go on the market and be comfortable to go at that 650 price point.
Hmm.
Go 650 and then know that then you adjust it based off of feedback.
Right.
You go on the market first 2 weeks, you gather feedback. If you don't get any showings, then you price too high. If then you get showings, but then no one's biting on it, then or they tell you it's priced too high, or the reasons why they're not buying it. Um, but that that would be a good starting point. I mean, all these properties, it seemed like it took time, except for the really unique ones are priced well. Like even the waterfront ones, 16 days and then 12 days, right? So
Hmm.
these were priced properly to say within the first 2 weeks of time.
Hmm.
And it, like, I mean, their list price was 770, sold at 750. This one was list price at 750 and sold at 735. So none of them actually were at full price.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Uh, any questions?
What about like time difference, like, you know, summer versus winter?
I wouldn't be concerned about that because all of these are within the last 6 months.
Right. Okay. So just time frame. Okay.
It's already the time frame of it, and so a lot of it is like you have November, and even these ones here. This was July.
Right. I think the other one was July too.
Yeah, it won't matter. Like,
Okay.
it's not going to be any lower because we're in winter time. If
Got it.
you sell the property, because again, it's going to bring out the uniqueness of it because of the waterfront aspect of it.
Right.
And because this goes back to who's the target, who's the target of the avatar of the client that you're marketing towards.
Hmm.
Your home is marketed towards someone who's retired and someone who wants a small footprint and wants to be on waterfront,
Right. Right.
who's either retired or high tech that have no kids. Like, you're not looking for a family. And so, like, the pool of this buyer, you're looking for a specific buyer for the property.
Mhm.
Uh, so but now, before I move on to something else, you're good with this.
Yeah, and you're gonna post this video in the, what's it called?
I won't be Loom, but I'll just share it with you on Dropbox,
Okay.
and
Okay. Perfect.
I could post it on YouTube, I guess, and then just have a library for this. for kind of like what we just did here.
Yeah.
Um, you good? You good here? I'm gonna move
Yeah.
on. to something else. So
Yep. Yep.
I'm gonna move on to the. But before I move on, I'm gonna send this to you so that you just have it. Actually, you can get in, right? Because you,
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming like you check, but you can just come in and then you just look under your
Yeah. I should be able. I should be able to.
yeah, because you can get access into my MLS.
Okay.
So the other thing that I was going to show you is just like the scenario. We met Sean at the Montlight Terrace house when we showed Jesus and Karina.
Yeah.
So what I would be doing from that standpoint, okay, we met Sean and we met Rob, and then we find out that Rob is looking to sell his home in the next year.
Mhm.
And what I made sure to get was I got Rob's email and his phone number.
Yeah. So did I.
And then the rest of the information I can get later. I can get, I took a picture of his house number, and then we can go and then find his house through Realist. So then if we go to Realist, and let's go to 220th and get to the homes here. So this should be Sean's house, and is it Shane then, not Sean? Shane.
Mm,
Is it Shane? Because this one says that he bought it in 2001. Doesn't sound like
his first name is Sean.
so. This one's Shane Yama. Where's it? This one here? No, that's not it. Because it would have been. This is the home that we went to go see.
Right. I thought it was the one right next door. Yeah.
It's Shane then. So it's Shane, but he said, this is 2001. I thought he said that he was been there for like only 4 years.
Right. I don't think that's the right info because his last name is Clean, Killeen.
Unless he's a renter. Because this is the history.
Yeah, that's the house.
He just might be a renter. We might not be getting the full story on his part.
Yeah, even though he said he's doing all these renovations and stuff.
I mean, he could be a tenant and then do all the renovations. He could be doing it for the landlord, and
Yeah.
who knows? Because like even from the history of it, I guess the recorded date is 2019. So maybe he does because he bought it maybe off market in 2019. So that goes along with the story of buying it 4 years ago. Then,
Yeah.
so you might have bought it off market then, because it wasn't listed. This is the last time it was listed on the MLS.
Oh, got it. In 2001.
Yeah, 2001. But this isn't the property we necessarily care about since he did that. We're looking at this one.
Yeah.
So Robert, so this ties up with him.
Yeah.
So we have his address. Now we have his address, his phone number and email address. Now it's the really the next step then is to you follow up with him to schedule an appointment to actually go see the condition of his home and just then it's just dripping on him and just follow up.
Right.
So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this address here. And part of it, the dripping on him will be using HomeBot. And so, but for you, since it would be a lead, just, knowing that that goal is to actually be in front of him and continue to stay in touch,
Uh-huh.
then add that as kind of one of your to-dos to follow up with him and
Hmm.
just schedule time to go talk to him and find out his questions and see, because he said he wants to be able to find out what he needs to do to the house. And some of the questions he was asking too was about his wife passed away. He doesn't want to actually do anything to the house.
Hmm.
It's a 490 in 2018. He didn't give me his cell phone. This was his home phone
Got it.
because, he just met us. So
Yeah.
you need to build a better rapport, which the rapport is built when you can actually go see him in person again.
Hmm.
And then we would do the same thing, right? You see the home, the follow-up after the fact of seeing his home,
Hmm.
recommendations, build a rapport. And then now that you've seen the home, I'll come back with, a market analysis for your home,
Right.
right?
So putting him into that HomeBot, what is that? Is that just how are you implementing HomeBot?
HomeBot it's just a home evaluator, or it'll give clients reports on a monthly basis of what their home would cost wise. So like this is what they would get. Like Jennifer she saw this report that their home value is 793, kind of a chart. This is another way of touching a client again.
Yeah.
So is it, I'm gonna stop the recording.